Hey friends, my name is Joss from squibblesreads, and welcome to the first video in Thrillers and More Thursday. Every Thursday, I'm going to upload a video that discusses at least one book, but probably more, in the realm of mystery, suspense, psychological, thriller, and I'll be talking about some new releases in the genre, and some books that I have read in the past week or so, currently reading, and are on my TBR. This may not be 100% mystery books, but I will always kick it off with a few that are. Okay, so the first book that I'm going to talk about today was released just this past Tuesday, and it is called No One Knows by J.T. Ellison. J.T. Ellison is the author of both the Taylor Jackson and the Dr. Samantha Owen series, both of which are thriller series as well. No One Knows is a thriller, and it starts out with the numbers 7, 17, and 5. 7 is the number of years that Aubrey lived before meeting her husband Josh. 17 is the number of years that Aubrey had in her life with Josh in some capacity, and it has been 5 years since the day that Josh disappeared one night when they both went to their friends' separate bachelor and bachelorette parties, and then Josh failed to show up after that. The book starts out in the present on the day when Josh is declared officially dead. Throughout the book, we get to meet different characters, including Josh's mother, Daisy, who is intentionally extremely unlikable. We also get to meet Aubrey's best friend, Megan, and also Aubrey's brother, who has been in and out of jail for drug-related charges. No One Knows is a super fast and easy read. The language is not too complicated, and there's a good balance of outer dialogue and also inner monologue. However, I did find a few faults. The first one being that there were a lot of flashback scenes, and these went way back, like when Josh and Aubrey were like 6 or 7. I can see why some of them were pertinent in the long run, but some of them were honestly just fillers, and I feel like this space could have been better used in character or plot development. As well, this is a personal preference, but I don't like it when authors use a bunch of cliches. 1 or 2 is okay, but I really feel that there are more effective and less diluted ways to express things without using cliches. J.T. Ellison used enough cliches such that they were noticeable and they stood out, and they were mildly irritating to me. These fillers and cliches watered down an otherwise super intriguing mystery, so overall I gave No One Knows 3.5 stars. This week I also finished the third book in the Cormoran Strike series by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling, and this book is called Career of Evil. A little background: Cormoran is a private investigator, and he is also disabled, following the aftermath of an explosion during his time overseas. In Career of Evil, Cormoran's assistant Robin, who we met in the first book, is sent through the mail a woman's severed leg, and he has a few suspects in mind who he thinks might target him personally or his business. That kind of plays into why I loved this book so much, is because we did get to know Cormoran and Robin a lot more personally in the context of the crime. My one critique of the book was that some of the suspects seemed kind of similar at certain points of the book, but rightfully so, because the clues pointed to a particular type of suspect. However, at certain times, some of their characteristics started to meld together and were a little bit difficult to differentiate. The nature of the first 2 books plays into this critique as well, because the other 2 plots featured more melodramatic, stereotypical, outlandish characters, so in comparison, these suspects were a little more understated than the first 2 books, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And just like the first 2 books, I gave Career of Evil 4 stars. The last book that I'm going to talk about, I mentioned in my second Hidden Gems video, and it is Perfect Days by Rafael Montes. It's about a med school student whose name is Teo, and he lives in Rio de Janeiro with his mom, who is disabled. He's kind of a recluse, doesn't really connect all that well to people, but he does find comfort in the cadavers in his anatomy lab at school. He becomes obsessed with a woman named Clarice, who is an aspiring screenwriter. It's written in close third from the point of view of Teo, which kind of reminds me of You by Caroline Kepnes, in that he's not the most reliable narrator. However, if you guys have read You is written from a second-person point of view, so it's a little bit different in that way. It's also similar to You in that Rafael Montes in an interview says that he wanted both Teo and Clarice to be both protagonists and antagonists simultaneously, which is what makes the narration so interesting. Throughout the process of writing this, he went to a bunch of morgues and anatomy labs and also interviewed 4 physicians, one of whom is a psychiatrist. He says that family is essential to understanding these characters' cognitive processes and their development, and y'all know I love some complex and well thought out character backstories. In this interview with Montes, they also also talked about gender roles in the context of Brazilian society and what it means in certain social settings. So schools, family gatherings, etc. He also wrote Clarice as a strong, independent, bisexual woman, and we see how that all gets to play out in this setting. I'm about this much through the book, and I cannot wait to continue on with it, and a big thank you to Penguin Random House for sending it to me. I would also like to give a shout out to Leanne at Literary Diversion. She's starting a new series on her channel called Crime Corner, which is really similar to this, and neither of us had any idea that the other person was doing this. So if you like more of this stuff, I would definitely recommend you to go and check out her channel as well. My camera just ran out of batteries, but that is it for this video. If you guys have any comments, questions, or anything else, please leave it down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.